Hello, everybody. Happy College Football Saturday. And to quote a Michigan man, our long national nightmare is over. Yes, it's been far too long without college football. Of course, many remember the last memory we had, Ohio State hoisting the trophy as it won the CFP National Championship, beating Notre Dame. And we have had to wait 6 long, agonizing months for games to come back, but we have them today. 8 games on TV, some of them of the FCS variety, but we do have 4 big games that we're going to talk about today, all of betting interests that have FBS versus FBS. So it should be a fun day. I know that a lot of people felt like it was Christmas morning because they could sleep last night and wake up today and we would have college football. So glorious day. So let's get right to it. Of course, the first game of the day takes place over in that college football hotbed of Dublin, Ireland, where we have Kansas State taking on Iowa State in the Aer Lingus Classic. Of course, getting the Big 12 season off to a pretty early start. There are some interesting storylines in this one. Of course, it's Farmageddon. Iowa State's coming in off of its first ever 11-win season, and it's hoping to take the next step and win the Big 12 crown. Of course, they have Rocco Becht back as one of the better signal callers in America, and he's going to be in the spotlight. The receiving core is new, but East Carolina transfer Chase Sowell has a chance for a breakout season. So remember his name. You know what you're getting with the Cyclones. They're physical, hard-nosed, and they play opportunistic defense. They had a pretty nice turnover advantage last season. You know Matt Campbell's going to have his guys ready to play, will not allow them to beat themselves. And on the other side, you've got Kansas State, kind of a mirror image, if you ask me, disciplined and gritty. They won 9 games last year, third straight season with at least that many victories, but they are like Iowa State striving higher in 2025. They want a Big 12 title. To get there, they're going to need better play from Avery Johnson. He was dynamic with his legs last year, and he did throw 25 touchdown passes, but he completed just over 58% and tossed 10 interceptions. That number has to come down. Dylan Edwards is a force in the backfield who is going to stress ISU out. And linebacker Austin Romaine, for those who are not initiated, he is one of the best linebackers in all of college football, and he's going to be all over the field as the leader of the Wildcats defense. Iowa State has covered 5 straight in the series and have won 4 of the last 5 outright, and is 20-15-2 as a single-digit dog over the last 10 years. Kansas State's just 5-6 as a favorite of 3 points or less over the last 10 years, but 5-4 ATS in neutral site contests. Both of these teams have high aspirations. Of course, Big 12 title, it is going to be a wide open race. First step is taken today, and while the loser is not out of the race by any means, it does become tougher. Kansas State's 3-1 against the spread in its last 4 openers, while Iowa State is 1-3 in the same situation. This was a 3-point spread as of yesterday. It moved up to 3.5. That's a little bit close for our numbers, but we do still lean toward Kansas State. We think Kansas State wins about a 4-point game. So Kansas State does cover in the Aer Lingus Classic. This one should be really good. There's another Big 12 team in action today is the Kansas Jayhawks take on visiting Fresno State. Kansas is favored by 14.5. The line moved over a point in the last couple of days. And you have to wonder if it's because of the uncertainty around Fresno State. They had their most disappointing campaign since 2019, winning just 6 games. They dropped 3 of their last 4 in the regular season, concluded with an overtime loss to Northern Illinois in the Potato Bowl. They do bring in first-year coach Matt Entz, and that guy knows nothing but winning after leading North Dakota State to 60 wins over 5 seasons. He hopes to bring that consistency to the Bulldogs this season. E.J. Warner, quarterback, needs to up his accuracy, but he's tough and can extend plays and brings attitude to the offense, which at times stagnated last season. The defense was solid and should be again this season, led by one of the better secondaries in the Mountain West. Now, Kansas was another team with high hopes last season, but limped home with a disappointing 5-7 record. And some of that was because of Jalen Daniels. He was healthy for the first time in a long time, but it looked like he pressed a little too much last year. Maybe he felt like he had to do all of the heavy lifting. That seemed to impact the offense negatively, if you ask me. Look for him to have a banner senior season. It starts today. There will be some new wrinkles from new OCs Matt Lubick and Jim Zabrowski, and that's going to take advantage of Daniel's athleticism. On defense, Dean Miller can wreck game plans off the edge, and there should be some pressure from new DC DK McDonald. Lance Leipold has built a great culture with minimal portal losses, and this has the look of a Big 12 contender. Now, Fresno State has covered its last 7 versus the Big 12, though the last time they played a Big 12 team was in 2007. It's also 4-1 in its last 5 against the Power 4. Kansas straight up at home over the last 10 years, an abysmal 31-88, and just 10-12 against the spread as a home favorite over that span. Now, the Jayhawks are 7-4 ATS against non-conference teams over the last 3 seasons, and 5-3 as a double-digit favorite, which they are today, over the last 10 years. Now, we do think that the offense is going to click early, but we think that going over 14, that's going to be just enough that Fresno State maybe makes a backdoor cover, and they'll lose the game, but they will stay within the 14.5 spread. So we like Fresno State as a road underdog to cover here. Moving on to the third game, this one should be interesting. Another conference battle, Conference USA. Sam Houston travels to Bowling Green, Kentucky to take on Western Kentucky. Bearcats surprised a lot of people by winning 10 games a year ago, and that included a season-ending victory over Liberty. The defense was the best in the conference, but it got decimated by transfers in the offseason. It did pick up a couple of really good players, though, in edge Keelan Cox from Wyoming and linebacker Antavius Fish from Akron. Those guys are going to kind of be the heart and soul of the defense. They're going to need to hold down the fort while the offense finds itself. Hunter Watson at quarterback is going to have to adapt to a change to a spread attack. The offense was not firing on all cylinders last year, and it came out of spring practice still maybe with a few hiccups. So you wonder how quickly the offense is going to get picked up. Sam Houston has not beaten Western Kentucky in 2 meetings as CUSA members, but has been solid as a road dog overall, going 11-5 ATS over the last 3 seasons, as well as an impressive 31-20 straight up away from home the past 10 seasons, which does include FCS play. Phil Longo should have his bunch ready to play. It's just a matter of how well it can execute the new offense. On the WKU side, it's also gone through a lot of change, including both coordinators. New OC Rick Bowie brings his high-powered offense from Abilene Christian, which averaged 470 yards a game in FCS a year ago. His quarterback was Maverick MacGyver. He's under center for the Hilltoppers, so that should be an instant hit. He should give it a boost to an offense that dipped by nearly a touchdown per game last year to just 25 points per contest. The receiving core, as it usually is, should be good. The offensive line's rebuilt, and that could be a little bit of an issue against the Sam Houston defense that likes to get after the quarterback. If MacGyver can get off to a fast start, then watch out. WKU's defense was solid, allowing under 25 points a contest, but it's kind of going through a bit of a rebuild in 2025. Secondary's good. Watch for Kent Robinson and DeMarco Williams to make life tough for the receiving core of the Bearcats. WKU is 41-19 at LT Smith Stadium over the past 10 seasons, but just 25-23 ATS as home favorites. They do turn it up in conference play, though, going an impressive 48-33-2. Now, we do think that Western wins the game, but this is another one, kind of like the Fresno State-Kansas game, where we think that Sam Houston does enough to stick around, and this one's 9.5. We're looking at maybe a touchdown margin on this one. So this should be kind of a back-and-forth affair, and in the end, Western Kentucky wins, but will not cover the spread. Last but not least, a great way to cap the evening, Stanford going to Hawaii to take on a Warriors team that is actually favored. It started with Stanford favored, I think, by a point. It's moved now to Hawaii by 2.5. So this is going to be a really interesting one. Stanford's led by interim coach Frank Reich. Native son Timmy Chang guides Hawaii. And you do have to think that even though he does have legendary status on the island, Chang is feeling pressure because Hawaii has yet to finish 500 in any of his first 3 seasons. Now, Stanford, I think a lot of people thought Elijah Brown was going to win the job, but gritty Oregon State transfer Ben Gulbranson was named the starter earlier this week. He has some moxie, he can extend plays. He is working with untested receiving core, so he's probably going to lean a lot on Sam Roush at tight end. He's one of the best in the ACC and should be a really nice security blanket for Gulbranson, especially since Stanford has some questions on the offensive line. There is experience, not a lot of depth, and you have to wonder if they're going to be able to run the ball. If they can, then it'll shorten the game, and that's going to help because the defense allowed over 33 a game last year. It does have more experience, is a little more athletic. Colin Wright is an emerging star at corner. He's going to be tested mightily against Hawaii's high-powered passing attack. Now, Stanford's just 11-21 against the spread as an away dog over the last 10 years, 12-19-1 against non-conference opposition. The Cardinal will also look to turn around its 2-4 mark in one-score games from last year. It was on the wrong end of things far too often. Hawaii has a lot of optimism after the performance of quarterback Micah Alejado against New Mexico in the finale last season. He had 469 yards and 5 touchdowns. They do have to wonder if he can parlay that into a full season of brilliant play. New Mexico was not a great pass defense, so maybe the numbers were a little bit skewed. He does seem to be a really good fit for the offense, although for all its hype, it averaged just 22 points a game last season. Protecting him is going to be a huge key against a Stanford front that does like to get after the passer. The defense for Hawaii did get better. It cut its points allowed by over a touchdown. Secondary is very, very good. Key thing to note, Hawaii has not beaten a power conference team since 2019 and is an abysmal 9-21-2 as a home favorite over the past 10 seasons. Hawaii has some buzz heading into the season. I think a lot of people think this is maybe the breakout year for Timmy Chang and his troops. We actually think that Stanford is going to bring an us against the world mentality into the contest. And Stanford has won all 4 of the previous meetings. All of them played on the Big Island, which is kind of interesting that they've never played in Palo Alto. Reich is going to have his team prepared and focused. And if Hawaii cannot cut down its propensity for penalties, this was an undisciplined team last year, finished 125th nationally, then it could be another disappointing outing for the Hawaii folks. Hawaii is favored, but my numbers say Stanford should actually be about a touchdown favorite. So we look for Stanford not only to cover, but to win the game outright. So that is kind of our best bet of the day. Our upset play is Stanford to win the game over Hawaii. So to recap, we like Kansas State as a favorite against Iowa State. We like Fresno State with a backdoor cover against Kansas. We like Sam Houston to keep it fairly close inside the number against Western Kentucky. And we have Stanford to win the game outright. So that's it for today's Saturday six-pack. Of course, we only have 4 games, so we drank the first 2 getting ready for the games. We will be back next weekend with a full allotment of 6 games. Great schedule for next week. But all we want to say is welcome back, college football. Let's make today enjoyable and profitable. And if you could do me a favor and hit the like and subscribe buttons, that would be greatly appreciated. Until next time, later.